Hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Sarah Style Designs, and today we are going to be testing out some glass dip pens. Now these glass dip pens are the absolute cheapest that I found on Amazon because people are always asking me how is the quality of these cheap ones that I can find on Amazon. So I wanted to test them out and let you guys know what I thought about them and if they are a good deal. So my first overall impression is that, well, they just look like a standard glass tip pen. But between the both of them, they have different chamber styles. The chamber is the part that is next to the tip, and that is what the area that's going to hold the ink. So they are both beveled, but one is a little bit thicker than the other, and it kind of fans out and then comes to the point, whereas the other one is more in a twirling fashion and it's a lot thinner. So we're going to see how much ink each of these holds and if it does well with different inks. So let's go ahead and test these out. I am just using this ink from Ferris Press. They have tons of beautiful inks that work well with glass tip pens. If you want to shop their inks, you can find the link in my description and you can use my code SarahStyle to save on your own inks. This one has a nice bit of shimmer, which I love. It just is really subtle. So you just want to make sure that before you start, you really shake up the ink really well. Otherwise, you won't get those shimmering qualities. I'm going to call these pens pen number 1 and pen number 2. Pen number 1 is the one with the twisted bevels, and then pen number 2 will be the one that is like a teardrop shape. So first I'm testing out pen number 1. I'm doing one dip to the edge that you're supposed to, and I'm just going to write out some words just to see how long I can write for. Now, the first thing that I notice is that it writes extremely thick in the beginning, which, yes, this is common, but this was kind of extra thick in the beginning. And then it really, as I started writing, thinned out very quick, which you don't want that because you want it to look consistent. You don't want, if you're writing this large amount of words, for it to go from thick to thin to thick to thin, because you just want it to look consistent. The ink ran out extremely fast, which was kind of surprising because I have another style like this pen and it usually works really well. So it may have just been a fluke because it was the first dip, but I will try it again later. Next, I'm going to move on to pen number 2 and do the exact same thing. I'm going to dip it once and then write the same exact words and see how much ink this one can hold. If you are unsure of how to use a glass dip pen, I have lots of videos and tutorials on how to use them, so that can help you as well. So the thickness, the line thickness, it did start out a little bit thicker here, but not quite as thick as pen number 1. So I'm going to write out some more words and see how long I can use this up before the ink dries out. Another thing I wanted to mention is that I did purchase these on Amazon for they were between $6 and $7. Both of them were each $6 or $7. So it could be different now based on pricing differences and how it changes, but that's what you can be looking for. And that's very inexpensive for a great writing tool. And I'm just going to say I'm like thoroughly impressed with how much ink that this pen holds, and I haven't had to re-dip or anything. So that's pretty impressive. So I wanted to give the other pen number 1 the benefit of the doubt, and I re-dipped it and started writing again just to make sure it wasn't just because it was the first dip that I had. So this one actually was better. It still was really thick to begin with, which I don't really like, but the ink definitely lasted a lot longer. So one thing that I love about glass tip pens is just the fact that it's not like you have to change the cartridge of ink or anything like that. You can dip it and wash off the ink and then dip it in another color. And it's very easy to do that. And it writes like a juicy ballpoint pen. So I just absolutely love that about glass dip pens. But I know that they can be kind of intimidating to people, but they're actually super easy to use. If you want to clean off your glass tip pen, you can just dip it and swirl it in water and then use a clean paper towel or cloth that doesn't leave residue and swipe it off. Now I'm going to try out this Winsor & Newton gold calligraphy ink. I never have luck with this. I don't know if it's just mine or what, but I wanted to test it out and think, hey, maybe it might work with these pens. But as I was trying it out, it just gets really gloppy, and I've had it shaken many times. I've mixed it, I've done everything, and it's just extremely gloppy, and I don't think it just does well with the glass pen. Maybe a regular pen with a nib it would do a lot better with, but not this one. Now, my overall opinion, and I did this backwards. Again, I'm using this with the Ferris wheel press ink. I'm going to start with pen number 2. I think that pen number 2, the one with the teardrop shaped nib, works really well. And I would trust it with my larger pieces and writing something really long. The ink lasted really forever, it felt like, and I always look for the consistency in that line width, and it was pretty consistent throughout. Obviously when it's drying up it's going to be like a little bit thinner, but I don't want it to start out super thick and then go to super thin. So I will say that this pen number 2, is good, and I would recommend it to you guys to use with your inks. Now, my overall opinion of pen number 1, I'm mixing myself up, is that it's just decent, and I think that it definitely works and it does its job, but if you're looking for something that's consistent, then I would not use that one because it really starts out with a really thick, and you can use less ink, but then you have to re-dip more. And why would you want to do that when you can just find a pen that works well and you can load it with a lot of ink and have it write consistently throughout versus starting with thick and then going to thin. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.